In the farthest reaches of the Draken Nebula, nestled between clusters of gas giants and silent asteroid fields, a small trading outpost buzzed with its usual low hum of activity. Starships docked and departed, merchants bartered goods from across the galaxy, and travelers shared stories that grew taller with each retelling. Among the countless tales, one name appeared often but never with certainty: humanity. To most in the galaxy, humans were myths, ghost stories from a time long past. They were described as the lost children of the stars, a fierce and passionate species that once shaped entire solar systems, but vanished before the galaxy could fully understand them. Some scholars whispered about a cataclysm that wiped them out, others spoke of self-imposed exile, and a few believed they were nothing more than legend, an ancient exaggeration. Yet, despite their uncertain existence, the idea of humans captivated many. It was a name spoken with a mixture of fear and reverence, curiosity and skepticism. The humans, a grizzled merchant once said to a young trader. They were said to be unstoppable, relentless, warriors unlike any other. But all that remains are stories and ruins. On a nearby space station, a group of scholars gathered around a flickering holo display. They were reviewing star charts, analyzing sensor data, and debating the latest reports from deep space. Among the data was a strange signal, brief and faint, unlike anything their instruments had recorded before. It was almost like a heartbeat, pulsing rhythmically through the void. "I swear this signal comes from the sector where the lost human colonies were rumored to be," said one scholar, his voice barely above a whisper. The others exchanged uneasy glances. The colonies were believed to have disappeared centuries ago, swallowed by time and forgotten in the dust of cosmic history. "It's probably just a natural anomaly," another replied, though his voice lacked conviction. But the signal persisted, drawing attention from far beyond the outpost. Soon, rumors began to spread. Was it possible that humans, the forgotten legends, might still exist? Were they sending a call into the galaxy, waiting for someone to answer? Far away, aboard the Vigilant Horizon, a scout ship from the Lurian Ascendancy, Captain Sira Marin stared intently at her view screen. Their mission had been simple: patrol the outer sectors and report any anomalies. But the recent detection of the mysterious signal had changed everything. "Captain, the signal is stabilizing. It's coming from the exoplanet Talir Prime," reported Lieutenant Noss, eyes glued to his console. Talir Prime was known only from ancient star maps as one of the lost human colonies. For centuries, it was believed abandoned, its fate a mystery. "Set a course," Sira ordered, her voice steady. "Let's see if the myths are more than just stories." As the Vigilant Horizon slipped into faster-than-light travel, the crew prepared for what they might find. Some were excited, others apprehensive. After all, if humans were real and still out there, what had become of them? And what did their return mean for the galaxy? Meanwhile, in the dark reaches of space where sensors faltered and light bent unpredictably, the ruins of Talir Prime lay silent beneath swirling storms of dust and forgotten memories. Crumbling cities dotted the landscape, monuments to a civilization that had once thrived. Strange machines, still faintly glowing with residual energy, hinted at technology far beyond current understanding. Amid the silence, something stirred. Deep, underground, hidden from prying eyes and the endless expanse of space, dormant machines flickered to life. Ancient defense systems powered up, their sensors sweeping across long-abandoned corridors. A low hum filled the vast chambers as energy flowed through circuits untouched for centuries. The signal that Captain Sira had detected was no accident. It was a beacon, a call that had been waiting patiently, silently, for the moment when the galaxy was ready to listen again. Back on the Vigilant Horizon, Sira tightened her grip on the console. "Prepare for drop out of hyperspace in 5 minutes," she said. "Whatever awaits us, we're not alone anymore." The galaxy had long forgotten the humans, but the humans had never truly gone. And now, their story was about to echo across the stars once more. The vigilant horizon emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Talir Prime system. Before them stretched a world cloaked in a haze of dust, storms, its once blue oceans now a dull gray. The planet's atmosphere flickered with remnants of long-faded energy fields, remnants of an ancient civilization's attempt to hold back time itself. Captain Sierra Marin stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the planet below. "Deploy the probes," she ordered. "We need a full scan before we send a landing party." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Tiny drones slipped from the ship's belly, weaving through the thick clouds and descending toward the surface. Data streamed in, geological scans, energy signatures, structural readings. What they found was astonishing. "Captain," Lieutenant Noss called out, "there are massive ruins across the northern hemisphere, structures that shouldn't exist, given the planet's history, and energy readings, weak but definitely artificial. Ancient technology," Sierra murmured, "still functioning after all this time." The vigilant horizon descended slowly, finding a clearing in the ruins where the atmosphere was least hostile. The landing party, including Sierra, engineers, and archaeologists, prepared to disembark. As their boots touched the cracked ground, a strange silence greeted them. The air was thick with dust, but beneath it lay a feeling of something waiting, something dormant, yet aware. Walking through the skeletal remains of skyscrapers that stretched like broken spires toward a pale sky, the team found signs of rapid evacuation. Personal belongings left behind, abandoned vehicles, holographic logs flickering faintly, fragments of memories caught in amber. One such log sparked to life as Sierra approached. The holographic figure of a human woman appeared, her voice trembling yet resolute. "To anyone who finds this," the recording began, "we were forced to flee. The darkness came without warning. It consumed everything, cities, worlds, even stars. We hid, but it hunted us. Our fleets scattered across the void. If you find this message, know that we survived. We endure." The message ended abruptly, leaving an echo of fear and hope lingering in the air. Sierra exchanged looks with her team. This darkness, could it be the reason humans disappeared? Something so powerful it shattered entire colonies? Back on the ship, data analysts cross-referenced ancient human archives with new information. They uncovered fragments of lost history, humanity's rise as a technological titan, their wars with cosmic entities beyond comprehension, and finally, their retreat into hiding to regroup and protect what was left. But what remained a mystery was how much humanity still existed. As the vigilant horizon continued exploring, the planet revealed more secrets. Beneath the ruins lay underground bunkers, shielded from surface devastation. Inside were stasis chambers, cryogenic pods containing humans, their forms preserved in suspended animation for centuries. Among them was a young woman, her features calm, but her eyes closed. The medics carefully revived her, her first breath stirring echoes of an ancient time. When she opened her eyes, the room seemed to hold its breath. "I am Commander Lyra Voss," she said, voice steady but filled with emotion. "We waited for the right moment. The galaxy must be warned. The war is not over." Sierra felt the weight of those words. The humans were no myth. They were here. And they carried a story that would change everything. Back in orbit, sensors detected a ripple in space, an anomaly slowly growing like a shadow spreading. The warning was clear. Something was coming. The darkness that had scattered humanity once was stirring again, and this time it was ready to hunt. Sierra turned to Commander Voss. "We have to warn the Council. We're no longer dealing with legends. We're facing a reality the galaxy has long forgotten. Voss nodded. Then we must prepare, for the Warfleet is not just a myth, it is a promise. The vigilant horizon lifted off, carrying with it the rekindled hope of humanity and a warning that echoed across the void. The lost colonies were found, and with them, a forgotten war was awakening. Beyond the dusty ruins of Talir Prime, hidden deep within the shadows of the Kalrath Nebula, an ancient secret stirred. For centuries it had waited, silent and unseen. A colossal human war fleet concealed behind veils of nebular gas and advanced stealth technology far beyond the reach of contemporary sensors. Now, the signal from Talir Prime had disturbed its long slumber. Within the command bridge of the Resolute, the flagship of the fleet, consoles flickered alive with pale, blue light. Rows of warships, some as large as small moons, hummed with reawakened power. Their hulls bore the scars of countless battles and the marks of time, yet their technology pulsed with vitality. Admiral Kalen Voss stood at the center of the command chamber, eyes scanning the holographic projection of the surrounding star. Systems, the whispers of legends, the rediscovery of lost colonies. It was all confirmation. Humanity was ready to rise again. "Bring the fleet online," Kalen commanded, voice steady and resolute. All across the fleet, dormant systems stirred. Engines warmed, energy shields flared into existence, and weapon arrays calibrated with silent precision. The great human war machines awoke as if emerging from a long, deep dream. The crew aboard the Resolute moved with a mixture of awe and purpose. They were descendants of those who had fled centuries ago, preserved and trained in secret for this moment. The day humanity would no longer hide. On the bridge, Communications Officer Mira Rin monitored the external channels. Suddenly, a surge of intercepted transmissions flooded the fleet systems. Alien broadcasts reporting strange fleet activity near Talir Prime. Panic and speculation rippled across neighboring systems as whispers of humanity's return spread like wildfire. "We're detected," Mira said quietly. "The galaxy knows we're here." Admiral Voss's eyes narrowed. "Let them watch. They have forgotten what we are, but they will remember." Meanwhile, far from the hidden fleet, panic stirred across alien command centers. The myth of humanity was no longer a tale for the curious. It was a reality crashing into their lives. At the Galactic Council's capital, envoys scrambled to analyze the data streaming from the vigilant horizon and the intercepted signals of the awakening fleet. Ambassador Tharix of the Krylon Dominion stood before the council chamber, addressing representatives from countless species. "We have lived in the shadow of a myth," Tharix declared. "But now, the myth is real. Humanity is back. And with them comes a power we have long feared, the power to shape the galaxy." Not all shared his concern. Some hoped the humans might be allies or at least neutral. But others remembered ancient conflicts, warnings passed down from their ancestors about the fierce determination of humankind. Back in the fleet, Admiral Voss prepared the first message to broadcast to the galaxy, a declaration not of war, but of return. "Attention all known civilizations," the transmission began, carried on every frequency. "We are the children of Earth. We have survived the darkness that sought to silence us. We come not to conquer, but to reclaim our place among the stars." The message echoed through space like a thunderclap. Systems far and wide stopped to listen. Within hours, fleets from several nearby systems scrambled to respond, some in curiosity, others in defense. Small skirmishes erupted at the fringes of human-controlled space, testing the fleet's strength. Human warships moved with uncanny precision. Their tactics combined centuries of experience with adaptive strategies that confounded even the most seasoned alien commanders. Shields bent around assaults, weapons recalibrated mid-battle, and crews worked as one, driven by a shared legacy of survival and purpose. Reports began to circulate. Humans were relentless, innovative, and fearless. Stories spread of boarding parties overcoming superior numbers, of crews repairing damage faster than expected, and of leaders inspiring their forces with an unbreakable spirit. Admiral Voss observed the reports from the Resolute's bridge, a small smile playing at the corner of his mouth. "The galaxy has forgotten the sound of our engines, the flash of our weapons," he said softly. "Now, it will remember." As the human war fleet continued to move outward, awakening old allies and warning enemies alike, one truth became clear. Humanity was no longer a myth. They were the echo of a past reborn, a force that would not be ignored. The galaxy held its breath. From the edge of the Calrath Nebula, the human war fleet surged forward like a tidal wave, powerful and unyielding. A dozen massive ships led the vanguard. Ancient yet formidable vessels restored and enhanced beyond anything contemporary civilizations had seen. Admiral Kalen Voss stood once more on the bridge of the Resolute, the flagship that had become the symbol of humanity's return. Around him, crew members moved with a quiet intensity, eyes trained on the view screens as the fleet approached the outer rim of the Talir Prime system. "Open a channel," Voss commanded. The view screen flared, filling with static before clearing, to reveal the face of an alien commander, the warlord of the Draken Coalition, a fiercely independent faction known for its proud warrior traditions and suspicion of outsiders. "Humans," the warlord sneered. "We thought you were legends, stories to frighten children. But now you return with weapons that can shatter worlds." Voss's voice was calm, carrying the weight of centuries. "We are no myth. We have returned not to conquer, but to protect what is ours, and to warn those who would threaten the peace of the galaxy." The warlord's expression twisted with contempt. "Peace? You bring war." "War is not our desire," Voss replied, "but we will fight if necessary." The tension was palpable. Alien fleets stirred in response to the human presence. Skirmishes broke out along trade routes, battles testing the fleet's capabilities. Every confrontation proved one truth. Humans were warriors shaped by hardship, their tactics precise and adaptive. At the same time, a quieter movement was underway. Across systems touched by the fleet's message, diplomats and leaders debated how to respond. Some sought alliance, believing humanity's return might stabilize a galaxy fracturing under its own rivalries. Others prepared for the worst. In the council chambers of the Andara Confederation, a young envoy named Velis watched the broadcasts with growing fascination. To Velis, humanity was a puzzle, an ancient power re-emerging with purpose and strength. "They remind me of the legends," she told her peers. "Not just of warriors, but of survivors. They did not simply disappear. They endured. And now, they return." Velis's words captured a growing sentiment. For many, humanity represented hope, a chance to rebuild trust and unity in a fractured galaxy. Back in the fleet, Voss prepared a message to send across all channels. It was a message of warning and invitation, a call for peace and recognition. "We do not seek endless war," he declared in his broadcast. "We seek partnership among stars. But we will stand firm against those who threaten the fragile peace we build." The response was mixed. Some factions sent emissaries to parley. Others tightened their grips on weapons and fleets. Among the newly awakened humans, there was a shared determination. Stories passed down from the past spoke of a darkness that had once driven them into hiding, a cosmic force that shattered worlds and scattered their people. Now, with the fleet awake and their numbers growing, humanity was ready to face the shadows again. They would fight not just for survival, but for a future where their kind could thrive openly once more. In the depths of space, ancient alarms blared aboard a distant outpost. A massive energy surge rippled across the sector, a reminder that the galaxy was not a place of peace, but a battleground of wills. Admiral Voss stared out at the stars. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. "The Titans have returned, and the echoes of our fleet will be heard across the stars for generations to come." The galaxy's long-held myths had been shattered. Humanity was no longer a whisper in the dark. They were a force awakening, bold, unyielding, and ready to shape the future. The galaxy's nerves were frayed. After centuries of peace, or what passed for peace between fractured systems, warships crept through star lanes with heightened vigilance. When news of the human fleet's emergence spread, curiosity shifted, quickly to caution, then fear. Every new encounter with humanity became a test, an attempt to measure the strength behind the stories. Some hoped the myths were exaggerated, that humans were merely relics of a bygone age. Others braced for the worst. At the forefront of these encounters was Captain Sira Marin, now commander of the Vigilant Horizons Forward Reconnaissance Squadron. Her orders were clear: establish contact, gather intelligence, and prove humanity's intent beyond question. But every probe into alien space brought resistance. Near the Doran Expanse, a fleet of armored cruisers from the Korvax Confederacy challenged the humans. Their commander, Admiral Zell, was skeptical, convinced humanity was an aggressive threat meant to upset the fragile balance of power. "Your weapons are impressive," Zell said during a tense parley aboard the Korvax Pride. "But can you back up the legends?" Sira met his gaze without hesitation. "We don't fight to prove strength. We fight to protect our people and our future. If tested, we will stand." That test came swiftly. A sudden attack by unknown raiders in the nearby asteroid belt threatened both fleets. The Korvax cruisers and human ships were forced into an uneasy alliance to repel the assault. The raiders were brutal and efficient, their tactics designed to sow chaos. Together, humans and Korvax demonstrated remarkable coordination. Human vessels adapted on the fly, deploying advanced electronic countermeasures and swift boarding parties, while Korvax capital ships unleashed overwhelming firepower. By battle's end, the raiders were scattered, their forces broken. Admiral Zell regarded Captain Sira with a mixture of respect and surprise. "You fight with skill and courage. Perhaps your legends hold truth." Similar encounters unfolded across the galaxy. In the crystalline fields of Yalara, diplomats met with human envoys beneath glimmering towers, debating uneasy truces. On the desert world of Vexen, mercenaries hired by rival factions clashed with human scouts, only to find themselves outmatched. Each skirmish, each negotiation, added layers to the growing truth. Humanity was a force forged in adversity, adaptable and relentless. Yet the humans also revealed unexpected qualities. Where other races relied heavily on overwhelming firepower or rigid hierarchies, humans showed creativity, engineering new technologies from salvaged parts, improvising solutions mid-battle, and demonstrating a fierce loyalty to their comrades. This combination unsettled many of their adversaries. In one notable engagement near the Thera Nebula, a human engineer named Leon Voss, sister to Admiral Kalen Voss, led a daring mission to disable a heavily fortified enemy outpost. Using a modified stealth drone and a team of specialists, she bypassed defenses thought impenetrable, turning the tide without massive destruction. Reports of such missions spread quickly. Aliens began calling humans the Tinkerers for their knack for turning the odds with ingenuity and grit. Back aboard the Resolute, Admiral Kalen Voss reviewed the reports with a somber expression. "We are being tested," he told his officers. "Every encounter sharpens us, but also reveals the shadows we must face." In response, the fleet's training intensified. New recruits learned from veterans who survived the long exile, blending old traditions with new tactics born from hard lessons. Across the galaxy, the ripple effect of humanity's return grew. Some factions sought alliances, eager to share knowledge and resources. Others fortified borders, preparing for potential conflict. Amid it all, one fact remained undeniable. The legends of humanity were not just stories. They were reality, and reality had teeth. For every victory, every successful negotiation, there was an underlying tension. The true test had yet to come, the challenge that would prove whether humanity's war fleet was a beacon of hope or the spark of a galaxy-wide conflict. As Captain Sierra Marin prepared for another mission into the unknown, she looked out at the stars and whispered, "We don't just survive, we endure. We don't just fight, we adapt. And no matter what comes, we will rise." The galaxy was watching, and humanity was ready. The vastness of space had always been a place of isolation, but now it was becoming a tapestry woven with fragile threads of new relationships. Humanity's war fleet was no longer simply a returning legend. It was a catalyst, compelling alien factions to reconsider old rivalries and forge alliances against common threats. Admiral Kalen Voss sat in the conference chamber aboard the Resolute, the glowing holographic map of the galaxy suspended. Between gathered representatives, the room was filled with a diverse assembly. Ambassadors and commanders from various races, many skeptical, some curious, others cautious but willing. "This gathering is unprecedented," Kalen began, voice steady. "For centuries, your peoples believed humanity extinct, a myth of war and survival. Now we return, not as conquerors, but as partners. The darkness that once drove us into hiding has not disappeared. It lurks still, and together we must face it." The murmurs quieted as the representatives absorbed the weight of his words. From the Andara Confederation, Ambassador Velis stepped forward. "Your return has already shifted the balance of power. Some fear it, others welcome it. Trust is not easily earned, but this council is a step forward." Across the table, Ambassador Therix of the Krylon Dominion nodded. "We must forge new bonds if we are to survive. The past has left scars, but the future demands unity." The discussion moved quickly toward strategic collaboration. Reports of unusual cosmic phenomena, energy surges, star systems fading without warning, fleets disappearing, were troubling. These events hinted at the resurgence of the same shadowy threat humanity had once battled. Sierra Marin, representing the Vigilant Horizons Intelligence Division, presented data collected from recent expeditions. "Our reconnaissance confirms anomalies linked to the dark forces we once faced. They are growing in strength and reach. Alone, none of our civilizations can stand against this." Plans began to take shape. Joint patrols along vulnerable star lanes, shared intelligence networks, and combined training exercises to unify tactics. Despite the optimism, tension lingered beneath the surface. Centuries of conflict and distrust were not easily undone. Old wounds had left bitterness, and some factions saw the human fleet's arrival as a threat to their influence. Outside the chamber, Ambassador Velis confided in Sierra, "We want peace, but we must be vigilant. Some fear humanity's strength will upset the balance they have maintained through control and intimidation." Sierra nodded. "We understand. But our goal is survival, yours and ours. If we cannot find common ground, the darkness will consume us all." Meanwhile, in the corridors of the Resolute, human engineers and alien technicians worked side by side. Sharing knowledge sparked innovations, hybrid technologies combining human resilience and alien ingenuity. One breakthrough came from a joint team developing a new energy shield capable of adapting to unknown attacks, inspired by human designs, but enhanced with alien materials. Commander Lyra Voss oversaw the project with quiet pride. "We're building more than weapons," she said. "We're building trust." As alliances formed, so did challenges. A faction known as the Zafari, fiercely independent and wary of outsiders, refused to attend the summit. They controlled key star systems and resources vital to the galaxy's stability. Sira was dispatched to open talks with the Zephyri, a mission as delicate as it was dangerous. Her ship approached the Zephyri homeworld, cloaked in swirling storms and jagged mountain ranges. The Zephyri leaders were cautious, their culture valuing honor and strength above all. During tense negotiations, Sira appealed to shared histories of survival and the pressing need to unite against the rising threat. She spoke not just with words, but with the respect of a warrior who understood the cost of conflict. Slowly, the ice began to thaw. The Zephyri agreed to a limited alliance, sharing patrol responsibilities and granting passage through their systems, in exchange for access to human technology. It was a victory, small but significant. Back aboard the Resolute, Admiral Voss reflected on the progress. "This is the first step in a long journey. We must nurture these alliances, for they will be the foundation of our future." As the newly formed coalition began joint operations, the galaxy's pulse quickened. The legends of humanity were no longer confined to whispers and dark corners. They were the beating heart of a renewed hope. But far beyond the council chambers and warships, in the cold depths of uncharted space, the shadows stirred. The true test was yet to come. The darkness watched, and it waited. The calm forged by fragile alliances was deceptive. While human and alien fleets trained, shared technology, and mapped joint strategies, a deeper menace grew in the dark spaces beyond known systems. Reports came in from border patrols. Silent. Star systems where no signals answered, ships disappearing without distress calls, and unexplained energy fluctuations that scrambled sensors. These were signs of something ancient and malignant awakening. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Kalen Voss reviewed the latest intelligence with a grim expression. "The darkness we fought before. It's returning." Beside him, Captain Sira Marin nodded, her jaw tight. "Our scouts found a graveyard of ships from multiple species, destroyed without conventional weapons. There's a presence out there, something that defies our understanding." The fleet's sensors now scanned more aggressively, focusing on the so-called Void Verge, a region of space where stars flickered and space itself seemed to thin. It was a place shunned by traitors and warlords alike. Suddenly, an urgent alert broke the tense silence. A joint patrol fleet sent a distress signal from the Verge. They had encountered an unknown force, massive, shadow-like vessels that absorbed energy and struck with terrifying speed. Within hours, reinforcements rushed toward the battle zone. The encounter was brutal. Human and allied ships fought desperately to hold their line. But the enemy's power was overwhelming. The shadow vessels moved like ghosts, slipping past shields, disabling weapons with eerie pulses and swallowing whole smaller ships without a trace. Admiral Voss watched the battle unfold on the holoscreen. "These aren't just ships," he said. "They're a force of annihilation." The losses mounted. Several vessels vanished, their crews lost to the void. Amid the chaos, a breakthrough came. Engineer Lyra Voss and her team discovered that the Shadow's energy absorption could be disrupted by a specific frequency of electromagnetic pulse, a pulse the humans could generate. A desperate plan formed. A squadron of human and allied ships would attempt a high-risk attack using the new pulse, hoping to disable the shadow vessels long enough to turn the tide. Captain Sira volunteered to lead the mission. "As long as we stand together, there's hope," she said to her crew. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of all." The squadron sped into the heart of the battle. The enemy loomed like a living nightmare, dark tendrils reaching out in every direction. Timing was critical. Sira gave the order, and the pulse fired, an intense wave of energy rippling through space. For a moment, the shadows flickered, recoiling. As their energy flow was disrupted, human and allied ships seized the moment, unleashing coordinated attacks that shredded the enemy hulls. The balance shifted. But the victory came at a cost. Several ships were lost, including key officers who had stood as pillars of the Alliance. Back aboard the Resolute, a somber mood settled. Admiral Voss addressed the fleet. "We have faced the darkness and held the line. But this is only the beginning. We must be stronger, smarter, and united." Amid the grief, a new determination took root. The battle had revealed not just the enemy's power, but the strength of the coalition. Across the galaxy, the human war fleet became a beacon, a symbol of resilience against an encroaching shadow that threatened all life. Yet, in the depths of space, the source of the shadows watched, calculating and patient. The true war was just beginning. The battle scars of the recent encounter weighed heavily on the coalition's leaders. Ships bore new marks of battle, and crews remembered the price of facing the shadow menace. Yet, the flame of hope burned brighter than ever. Admiral Kalen Voss stood before the gathered representatives of human and allied fleets aboard the Resolute. The Grand Hall, once a cold chamber of strategy, now hummed with an atmosphere of shared purpose. "We have faced darkness and emerged," Voss began, voice steady and commanding. "But the time for cautious steps is over. We must unite, not just as allies, but as one force, indivisible and resolute." Ambassador Velis of the Andara Confederation stepped forward, her eyes shining with conviction. "The galaxy has long been fractured. This moment offers us a chance to rebuild, not as separate species vying for power, but as partners in survival and progress." Representatives from the Krylon Dominion, the Zafari, and other factions echoed the sentiment. Years of distrust began to melt away in the face of the greater threat. Together, they formed the Galactic Unity Coalition, a new alliance committed to defense, exploration, and shared prosperity. The ancient rivalries that had once defined the galaxy were set aside for a cause greater than any one race. Across the coalition fleets, joint training drills, resource exchanges, and scientific collaborations deepened bonds. New technologies, inspired by human adaptability and alien ingenuity, flourished. The combined fleets grew stronger, their coordination seamless. But the galaxy's shadow was not idle. Far beyond known space, the dark force gathered, its tendrils reaching toward vital star systems. The final confrontation loomed. The coalition's leaders prepared for war, not just for survival, but for the future of all sentient life. The Resolute led the charge, spearheading an armada unlike any the galaxy had seen. Each ship carried the hopes of countless worlds, their crews united by a single purpose. As the armada approached the heart of the Void Verge, the Shadow Fleet awaited, a monstrous force of dark energy and unfathomable power. The battle that followed was fierce and relentless. Energy blasts collided, ships maneuvered with desperate precision, and sacrifices were made. In the midst of chaos, human ingenuity shone brightest. Engineers deployed adaptive shields that bent and reformed in real time. Pilots executed daring maneuvers born from generations of survival. Admiral Voss and Captain Sierra Marin coordinated the fleet's movements with calm determination. Their commands were clear, their will unbreakable. After hours that felt like an eternity, the tide turned. The shadow vessels faltered, their energy disrupted by the coalition's combined might. One by one, they collapsed, their darkness dissipating into stardust. Victory was hard-won but absolute. As the dust settled, the leaders of the Galactic Unity Coalition gathered once more. The galaxy had been tested and had endured. Admiral Voss addressed the assembly. "We have faced the shadows and stood together. Our unity is our strength. From this day forward, the galaxy is not divided by fear or rivalry, but united by hope and purpose." Ambassador Velis smiled, a new era dawning before them. Humanity's return was the spark. Our unity will be the flame that lights the path forward. Across the stars, civilizations celebrated, not just a victory in battle, but the birth of a new chapter. The myth of humanity had become reality, and with it the promise of a future where all could thrive. The galaxy, once uneasy and fractured, now pulsed with renewed life, a testament to endurance, courage, and the power of unity. The echoes of the human war fleet had become a symphony, one that would resonate across the cosmos for generations to come.